What's up, you crazy fucking hippies that watch my shit? Sorry, that was uncalled for. What's up? It's Opex once again, and you're tuned into the Mind of Opex. This is video number 2 today. Usually I don't like doing this because, well, I don't get any views that way, and therefore a lot of my content gets 1 or 2 views. And, I'll look back at a video or like a day that I get 2 videos in one day or 3 videos. And I see my very last one of that day, the last one to get uploaded, gets a little more views than the other ones. And the other ones generally get 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 views. And obviously, what's the point of a YouTube channel if nobody's watching it? But anyways, I think my content is out there enough where people should be interested. Not to look at it as gospel. So that leads me to what I want to talk about now. I think the only way you can progress in your consciousness on an external factor with people is to have arguments. The reasoning is because, for example, let me tell you what I do. For example, if I'm on Facebook or I'm talking to somebody, I don't put in my opinion on something, right? Unless I know that it's against somebody else's thought process. The reason I do that is because it gets you to think about something that you may have not thought about. If I was just to, for example, if somebody says, this, that, and the third, and I agree with them, I won't say much about it. I won't say, oh, I agree, yeah, and be a yes man. Because that's not ascending anybody's consciousness or understanding. But if you put out an argument, which, watch my video on reason and evidence. It's a good video to understand that. How to create an argument. An argument isn't just 2 people yelling at each other. That could be an argument, yes. That is an argument. But a valid, real argument isn't about raising the voice, isn't about emotions. A real argument is based on reason and evidence. And without reason and evidence and logic, you can't create a case for an argument. An argument has to have some sort of logic and reasoning and evidence. So, for example, if you believe that the left wing is the way to go, and you argue your point for the left, and then somebody else comes by and argues a point to the right. That kind of gets you to understand that there's somewhere in the middle that you should be, that you should ascend to. You should, for example, we all know about money, right? Money doesn't help anything. We might pretend it does, or we might be brainwashed to believe it does, but it doesn't help anything. So look at it this way. If I was to give you $1 and you gave me $1, we both have $1. But if I gave you an idea and you gave me an idea, we now both have 2 ideas. And that's critical. So I'm going to make a point to why arguing is good. Is because you can come out with more than you came in with. If, money, you get what you pay for. If you, for example, if there's a homeless person on the street, you gave him $5, he used that $5, and you got a feeling out of it of helping this person, and it made you feel good that you did the right thing or something. You paid for that feeling of being good, and you got what you paid for. An idea. Now, if I went up to that homeless guy and I said, hey, what's going on? And then he gives an argument of why he's poor and why he doesn't have any money, and he lost his job, he doesn't have any family, and, he couldn't afford any type of housing, the government's not helping him, and he's giving me all these arguments, then I'll give him an argument on how to get out of it. It helps that individual. He had a mindset of he's stuck here, and I'll throw him a mindset, an argument of why he is not. And now that I gave him that argument, it's his choice to stay stuck. If you're dealing with, anything really has an argument, right? People give an argument to their standpoint, and the reason why I don't say, oh, I agree, yeah, I'm a yes man, and just agree with what you say, is because I'm not helping you. If I just regurgitated what you said and your type of belief structure back at you, and it's all things you've already heard before, we're not accomplishing anything, except for us both being, yeah. Like, for example, if I believed in aliens and someone else believed in aliens, right? And we're talking about aliens, all about shit that we already know, we're not getting anywhere. I've already said this many times in my videos, that I can argue any point. The reasoning is because there's more to arguments than meets the eye. If that person was, if let's say I believe in aliens and they believe in aliens, I'm going to make, a counter argument to aliens. And, I'll try to use as much proof, reason, and evidence as possible, and logic. But ultimately, the reason why I would do that is because now we have a thought process, both of us, that ascends to just one argument. It's like when people pick sides. I tell everyone, stop picking sides. Stop picking sides in the election. We're all in this together. And once you pick a team and you pick a side, then you have to believe that to the day you die. For example, I'm born in the USA, in the Western world, which is mostly Christian Catholic ideologies. And if I'm born with a Christian ideology and I want to talk to somebody with an Islamic ideology, we're going to have a lot of differences. And whether that Islamic person, the person who's a Muslim, says something that counteracts what I said with logic and reason and evidence, I tend to, not me personally, but the person in the scenario of being a Christian would say, oh my God, he just called me out on this, and I got to stick with my beliefs no matter what. So it doesn't change anything in your belief structure because you're already conditioned on that argument of your side. And the reason why you're conditioned is because you brainwash yourself to believe it. And if something was to go wrong in your arguments and somebody beat your argument with logic and reasoning, then it all falls apart. When it should help you. I'm the type of person that's totally open-minded. I don't call myself this, that, or the third. I don't. My beliefs or the structure of my ideologies changes upon decent arguments and understandings of the universe. If I was a Christian, which I was at a young age, and I found out, I'm not going to try to debunk Christianity right now on this video. I might do that in another video, which maybe I'll never do, I don't know. But the point is, if I was a Christian, which I was when I was younger, I came up with ideas and I got more information that was more valid than the magical mysticism of Christianity. And, well, look at me now. I still have some sort of magic, mystical ideologies based on reason and evidence and logic. That's why, like in my last video, hair, right? There's actually some powers to hair. Christianity has those powers, or talks about Samson's powers in the Bible. So I didn't lose everything about my Christian beliefs, right? There's a lot of things in that Bible that are still valid. Your arguments don't deplete or whatever if I found more logic and reasoning that opposes some ideologies. Everything doesn't fall apart. I'm a capitalist to some aspects, but moreover, I'm an anarchist, which is pro-free market type of capitalism without government. Which anarchy, in essence, would tend to sway a little bit away from capitalism. So it kind of makes a counter argument. But the truth is, if you combine all the arguments and you put all the facts and everything, you're not choosing a team at that point. I'm not, like, I'll say all the time I'm an anarchist. That I don't believe in government, and I don't believe in rulers, and I don't believe in government taxes and regulations, and, you know, where I can't go fishing on my own pond. It's my own fucking property. Why do I need a fishing license? You know? I'm the type of person, this is mine. You know? How does a third party regulate what's mine? You know? Or my freedoms or my rights? So, because I'm an anarchist doesn't mean that I'm just going to be confused about capitalism. No, I like capitalism too. And there's a lot of free market stuff in capitalism. Not crony capitalism. So my arguments morph together. And I can argue any point of why something's good or bad, or the reason and evidence and logic behind anything. Flat Earth or round Earth, I can argue both of those standpoints. Reason being is because I'm not just sitting here saying, it's a round Earth, you fucking dumbass. No, I took some arguments from the flat Earth. I took some arguments from the round ball Earth. And I'm not here to say I believe or I pick sides on either of them. I'm going to give you all the logic I can for both. Because once you pick a side, you have to stick with that belief structure. And anything that goes against that belief structure is totally null and void. And you have to pretend it doesn't exist. You might have to start raising your voice and the whole nine. But if you truly want to argue to ascend your consciousness, or your awareness, rather, that's the best way. Arguing with people. And arguing doesn't mean raise your voice and shit. It means using logic and reasoning and evidence and the whole nine to formulate an argument. After you formulate an argument, you go out there and give it a try. And if something goes against your argument and you can keep talking about that, then you keep talking about it and you keep going further and further. And the only reason why arguments are not good is due to people picking sides. That's why, like, a Christian versus a scientist on evolution, right? Oh, the evolution debate. You have a Christian versus a scientist. Why don't you have somebody in the middle? Or why don't both of these people find even ground in the middle where they ascend to? Where the Christian's like, oh my God, that science is actually right. Instead of just saying, well, having proof because of a book, when science has proof from a book, you know, and I don't know, I'm being a little confusing at this point, but when both of these come together, they should find some good ground that they've ascended to, as opposed to descending and not making any ground. Arguments are very good when executed properly. You can argue about anything. And you can argue about anything without raising your voice, without getting violent, without... I mean, if you're the prison of your false thoughts are controlling you through belief, once you get those walls down and you're open to new ideas, you reach a freakish level of freedom and a freakish level of intelligence, of thoughts, of possibilities, which you already know I'm all about possibilities. Fuck beliefs. Remove the wall. Let in more arguments. A lot of people I see who are arguing about something, you know, like one person's arguing about something, the other person doesn't like their argument. So what they do is they just tear down that wall. I mean, they keep that wall up and... where was I going with that? I just lost my train of thought. Give me a second. I just totally lost my train of thought. It happens. When two people are arguing and somebody doesn't like what somebody's saying, instead of letting that person talk, they build up the barrier like, we need to stop you from thinking like this. For example, if I was to talk to a socialist or a communist or a Democrat or anything like that, generally speaking, I have a lot to offer you, and you have a lot of under-consciousness things. Instead of devaluing you or making you think another way by use of non-intelligent ways, like raising my voice or talking over the person or even fist fighting him or her. Instead of going that route, I let that person keep on talking, and when they're done with their arguments, I try to get as much reason, evidence, and logic out of them. If they don't have reason, evidence, and logic, then I ask them again. I'm like, hey, can you do this again, but with reason, logic, and evidence? Until they get to reason, evidence, and logic behind it, and then I can either counteract it or I can build off of their argument. So I can at least alter their mind on their own principles, or I can show them a counter argument where something is better. Now, arguments aren't designed, they shouldn't have been designed to belittle anyone, to make neither party accelerate their understanding of what they're arguing about. Arguments are primarily used to help each other, to get farther. You know, if me and a contractor, and I'm a contractor's worker, like I'm a subcontractor, and I'm working with my team's used to doing it a certain way, I'm the subcontractor, I want to do it another way, and you know, my team's like, well, we've always done it like this, we put in this, like that, and like this, and then this person comes in and does this, and then I'm like, I understand what you're going with, but we can save an hour if we do it like this, this, and this, and then he can go work over there, and it'll save us at least an hour for today, and we can get more done, you know, and you put out those arguments to better a situation, and then the contractor, I might give the contractor calls like, hey, they do it like this, I do it like this, what's your thoughts on it, since you've been doing this longer than all of us, you know? So it's pretty much a way to better situations, arguments, thoughts, philosophy. And if you're dealing with someone who's arguing in a belittling manner or talking above you or condescending, don't even just get out of there. Just say, hey, I just want some logic, reason, and evidence. There's no reason to raise your voice, and we can get through this in a better way. This is to help both of us. Now, to tear down those walls, I always test people. And how I test people is I go to the limits. I go to that wall that's up, and I find out how much I can push. I like to see people's walls come down, because I think there's a dangerous level of freedom, there's a dangerous level of awareness and possibilities, and so much that you can get out of somebody once those walls start coming down. So I test it, and if that person gets angry, oh, you shouldn't have said that, that goes against my beliefs, you know, I think to myself, like, hey, at least I'm making progress. I try to not get to that point. I try to push somebody to that point, that line, all the time, because I want to better you, not because I want to belittle you, not because I want to make you angry. That's not the point. I don't want to make you angry, so I go up to the line, but still make progress with that person. So maybe in your arguments, you might want to do the same. It takes a certain level of skill, but if you're just gifted with empathy, you pretty much know how that works, how to get somebody to that line of that barrier and to help them pull down that walls, his walls or her walls. So that's pretty much it. Understand that this is for the betterment. That whole getting mad at each other thing isn't the purpose of this. Like I said, I test people all the time. I'll test anybody, 24/7. Every word that comes out of my mouth when I'm talking to somebody is a test. It might not be straight to that fucking wall, but it's the test to get there, to that wall. Find where that wall is and try to breach it without doing any damage to them with their emotions. Jeez, if somebody says, your mama's so fat, I don't get fucking offended. You know, if somebody says, oh, you look like a girl, I don't get offended because I have long hair, you know? I'm a man. My barriers are down, you know? And I'm a much stronger person because of it. Because I'm not looking for a safe comfort zone to go hide in because somebody said something about my religion. You know? So you become a much stronger person once you break down those walls. And arguing gets to that point if done properly. Alright, I can keep going about that and go in circles all day, but I think you get the gist of it. 2 short videos today. Hope you guys got something. And stay tuned to my channel. There's definitely so much more content. I say that every video because I have so much content. Where I wake up one day, every day, I'm like, I can talk about 5 things right now. Easy. And I'll talk about one of them that day. That leaves 4 for the next day. Next day, I can talk about 5 things today. That leaves 4 for the next day. And it's just like, I have so much more content. And I'm getting like, I can talk about something new every fucking day. I'll never be out of content. And it's always going to be at this level of understanding of, you know, this is stuff people don't talk about. And this is the stuff that needs to be talked about. So go out there, argue with people the right way, not raising your blood pressure. Watch my video, Reason and Evidence. That'll detail a lot more of how to argue. But I'm just telling you what arguments are good ways to accomplish things. And you want to accomplish something out of your argument. You want to accomplish something good. All right. I'm just babbling now. All right, guys. Happiness, longevity. See you next time.